in you, that they value you so much and you're responsible for all of this, well, then he thinks pay him like that.
And the one thing about our game is the pay is the pecking order.
Right.
And Jimmy has a valid point. You know, if you're going to pay these guys big money and they're paid a lot more than me, then how do you expect me to tell them what to do?
It's the principle.
Well, you guys are not the only ones. The great Scottie Pippen, it's no coincidence that he is speaking the minds of many players, because Paul George weighing in on the Butler situation just moments ago. Take a listen to this.
I'm on Jimmy's side. You know, it's not coming from a place where he's going against an organization. Jimmy's a guy who his whole career has made it to the league off work, off you know, him having to grind and scratch and claw and get to where he's at. And then he sees the potential that he has around him. And, you know, he just wants guys to match that.
You hear that? Seems pretty much.
It's pretty much what I said.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if you're going to pay these guys and I'm playing harder, hey, my hard play is as valuable as their talent. And I understand where Jim is coming from.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, Tibbs was the one who wanted him back in practice. He got him. Clearly wasn't quite what he bargained for, although Jimmy said Tibbs is probably in his office.
Yeah, because that's what he wanted. That's the irony here. Is that
well, yes, but I wondered, I mean, look, you saw Carl, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that...
Her feelings.
Well, yeah, or just that, look, those guys have a say on that team, too.
That's
and
why,
maybe they don't want to be around him anymore.
That's why yesterday I told you, it doesn't matter how they felt at the time.
Right.
He's been humiliated over the news cycle.
I would say I don't agree with that.
That's the face of a man who's humiliated.
I don't agree. I think that is too strong a word.
All right.
I just think he's unhappy. How about that? Can we go with that?
Okay.
It's
Man.
all the same.
Producer Danny just spit in my ear, speaking of humiliated, which I think...
It's time for me to flex.
It's time for me to talk about the Phoenix Suns.
Oh, yeah.
Look, the Phoenix Suns fired GM Ryan McDonough earlier this week, named James Jones their interim general manager. Shout out James Jones. This was the story of the week, of course, till the Butler practice happened. I mean, you have been waiting to talk about the Phoenix Suns.
All week long.
All week long. Producer Steve came up with this question, which I thought was fantastic. Was this a good week or a bad week for the Phoenix Suns?
So, let's start with good week. I'll give you glass half full. They got rid of a guy who hasn't brought home the big. He's had enough time to prove that he can build something at least resembling a winner. He hasn't, right? James Jones, a lot of people say, well, what does he know? How much experience does he have? This is a guy who's the treasurer for the Players Association for a long time. Later in his career in Miami and in Cleveland, hung around with some of the brighter minds, David Griffin, Andy Ellisberg, Pat Riley. So he's been kind of grooming for this, and obviously he's been there for the last season or so. The second in command, Trevor Buckstein. I work with this man closely in Phoenix. He's brilliant. He's brilliant when it comes to collective bargaining agreement. He watches a ton of film. He knows players, and he's got a real creative eye for restructuring contracts and finding loopholes in the CBA. So, glass half full. This is a nice management team if they're on the same page. Igor Kokoshkov, great coach. Devin Booker looks like he's going to be an elite wing in this league. DeAndre Ayton has been tremendous.
Yep.
So, glass half full. This is a good team, or it has the bones to be a good team. Glass half empty. Who owns it, right? No, I'm good because Rachel. Let me ask you something. Ryan McDonough, however you feel about him, you had confidence in him to draft the number 1 overall pick, the first time in franchise history. You had confidence in him to hire a head coach, to spend a bunch of money in free agency, to extend the contract for max, to trade for a guy with 2 years and a bunch of money left on his deal in Ryan Anderson. You had all that confidence all summer long for huge franchise-altering decisions. You fire him a week before the regular season because he can't get you a point guard? That doesn't make sense. If you weren't confident enough in October, that means you weren't confident all summer long. You make those breaks earlier in the process. And so a lot of people ask me, what happened? Was there something else? Because in this day and age, people get fired because there's other stuff going on. I said, no, this is the Suns. This is a team that fired a coach 3 games into the season. This is a team that fired a coach and waited 5 days before they named the new head coach during the season. This is a team that twice fired a coach, had assistant coaches with coaching experience on the front of the bench, said, no, give me the guy who's never coached before from the back of the
Scotty, he could literally go on like this for a half
keep
hour
on
without
going.
drawing
But
a breath.
shout out to James Jones.
say.
I'm actually happy for Phoenix. I think, if you're going to get younger on the court, you got to get young in the front office. And I think James Jones is great for him because you're going to need young people to blame the players because they're controlling this league now.
Right.
And he's respected.
James Jones has
Super
really
respected through the
100%. Absolutely. It's going to be interesting. Here's what the Jump recommends for today. The Shop.
Yeah.
Episode 2 tonight, 9:30 p.m. on HBO. Shout out PR, and here's a sneak peek.
I think maybe one of my biggest concerns in my career is just to figure out how to exit gracefully. I've watched people overstay their welcome, and I just don't ever want to be that guy, and that's addicted to the feeling of victory, addicted to the emotion of people digesting something that they love, and get to a point where I'm feeding them something, and they're just like, yeah.
What helps? What helps with the gracefully bowing out is having people around you that was there from the day one, that's seen you from the beginning.
They help you gracefully bow.
Yeah, you can't have around you that don't keep it honest with you and keep it real with you.
You say you need somebody to tell you.
You gotta have someone to tell you, like, yo, either accept a lesser role or you gotta tank.
What do you mean it's not working?
Come true, and we'll preview another huge weekend in college football. SportsCenter, 6 Eastern, after PTI.
Welcome back into the Jump. We now welcome in 3-time NBA champ BJ Armstrong. You know, we want to welcome Scotty back from summer vacation with guys who make him comfortable. So we have Steve Kerr at the start of the week. We have BJ here now. A little old home week for the
Guys
Bulls.
that made me look good.
Well,
All is good in the world when I'm standing next to beside Scotty.
Exactly.
All is good.
Speaking of a guy who makes you look good, right on the court, BJ. I mean, this was a great partnership you guys had. You are now, of course, a super agent, and you also host a podcast.
Yes.
In the Key.
In the Key. So I host a podcast, and we go out there and we talk more about sports and music. And Scotty knows I love music. I've always loved music. So we talk about the culture and talk about things. So it's good to be here on the show today. But we have a little podcast and we do a little things. We have a lot of guests, and maybe we can get you guys on the show as well.
I like it. Although
I've been waiting all summer long. I told you in Vegas. I said, when is mine coming?
Just don't ask about the Suns, because he'll just talk for 45 minutes straight. It'll be fine. I want to talk about some of your clients, though. Derrick Rose, of course, we'll get to in a minute. But Draymond Green, very interesting moments. Here's your client list. Very interesting moment. I mean, it's not just these guys, but here's some of these guys. It's a good list.
I need Scottie Pippen on that list.
Exactly.
Scottie Pippen.
Look, Draymond, he's not quiet. He tells you what he is thinking. And it's funny, it's often the agent's role to kind of be that guy after he comes off the court from some of these, technical fouls and these moments to sort of, be a buffer before he gets back out into the world. So what do you say to him when you see this going on TV?
Well, the first thing when I see that, I love it. I love the competitive spirit that Draymond has. He's had that since high school. He's had it in college, and now it's continuing into the NBA. Draymond is a very unique player, probably as unique of a player that I've seen in my affiliation with the NBA. Draymond is arguably not the best player on the team. He's not the second best player. He's not the third best player. But Draymond Green is the leader of that team. And that's a very unique experience. I played with Scotty and Michael. Scotty and Michael were our leaders, clear. Draymond may not be the best player on the team, but he's without question the leader of the team. And when you lose that competitive spirit that he has and brings to the court, you're going to lose something. So I always encourage him to not allow his emotions to get in the way of what he does very well. His leadership is bar none. I've been around great leaders. I played with guys who won championship, and that's what makes Draymond special as a player. And that's a very unique quality that he has and he brings every night.
Keep talking, man. Listen.
Well, I'm sitting here with you played with Dennis Rodman, so a different guy, obviously, but still had some of that same thing.
I totally agree with everything that BJ is saying. I mean, those guys bring something out night in and night out that the other guys on the team can't get out of themselves through 82 games. So you appreciate that enthusiasm that they bring, because they bring you up to another level, and it helps your team to win, and the leadership is impeccable. I mean, people talk about Dennis Rodman never scored, all he wanted to do was rebound, but Dennis was a great leader in other ways because he was able to get in people's head. He give hard fouls when you come into the lane, so he did things, again, like Draymond, that a guy small that does that you respect a 7-footer need to do.
BJ's like, pay those fines. It's fine. It's okay.
BJ, what are your reactions to the whole Jimmy Butler thing that's happening in Minnesota?
Because I'm sure Derek is calling you being like, and this happened today.
Well, you know, as a former player, as a person who worked in the front office as executive, now working as an agent, you know, I'm very sensitive to the situation because there has to be truth tellers up here. And there has to be a level of professionalism that you have to bring to the court and be an example to the next generation. And there were guys when I came into this league who showed me the right way and the wrong way to do things. And if something like that happened in our core, in our locker room, there's a guy that I played with, Bill Cartwright, who we called the teacher, who was a phenomenal leader. And we all learned the right thing and the wrong thing to do for the next generation. We all go through problems, whether in our career, whether we want to be traded. That's happened to me. It's happened, I'm sure, to Scotty at some point, whatever the case may be. But there's a right way and a wrong way to handle it. And Jimmy, in my opinion, has to make sure that the next generation, he takes care of those guys and lead by example in knowing what needs to be done on and off the court. There are a lot of young players that look up to him, and they need his leadership. So whatever happens that you got to do, hey, I'm all for Scottie Pippen. I'm all for my teammates getting the best deal or whatever it is, but don't allow that to get in the way of the team. So if I could say anything to him is, you know, just handle your business in a way that the next generation can say, okay, I know how to handle what I need to do on and off the court.
It's tough. It's tricky, right? Because I know that Jimmy, we talked about this in the last segment, we won't get too far into it, but the idea that, you know, he did go to them several times over the summer to try to do it quietly. And it's hard. I mean, you know, you had the situation in Chicago where you get drafted by the expansion draft of the drafters. You don't want to go there, right?
Absolutely.
And there's situations where guys sort of feel like, hey, I tried to do it this way. It's not working that way. But yes, you're absolutely right. People look.
Time fed. I'm so